Well, howdy, everyone. Welcome in to TexAgs Rewind here on New Year's Eve. Obviously, not David Nuno, Nick Savage, Tomas, Romo here with us. They gave the keys to the children today, I guess, to run the show. How do you think we did, Tomas?
I'm going to give us a solid B.
That's fair.
Maybe a B plus.
I'll take it. We'll get our actual grade
when
from
I see
from
David
Nuno.
next.
Yeah. I'm sure he was glued to the TV,
Probably
watching our every word.
He's
so
probably really excited. I mean, seeing he was probably hoping that we didn't, gun for a spot or nothing like that.
Seriously. What playoff game are you most excited for? The Ohio State, Georgia, or TCU, Michigan?
Give me Ohio State, Georgia, just because I really want to see Georgia route them that way. I really think that's going to happen. Georgia going back to the national championship.
So you want to see a route?
I want to see a route.
Okay.
Well, I'm also too. I mean, I've said it not only on the podcast, but I said on the show today. Give me the dogs. The dogs
National
are going to be barking.
champs. Well, on today's show, me and him, obviously, we talked national championship, college football playoff, a couple bowl games as well. We went over the top 5 moments, but you're going to see 3 of them on the rewind. Mark French, former A&M basketball player, joined us to talk a little Aggie hoops, and Kay Naegeli was in studio for a little Around Aggieland. Here are the clips. Pretty good stuff, but most of the bowl games these past few days have been pretty good. But let's kind of dive into what we're all going to be watching this weekend. The college football playoff. We'll start off there. We'll start off with Ohio State in Georgia. I think this is going to be the closer game of the two. I do think that for whatever reason I couldn't tell you a number or reason why. That's just how I feel about it personally. But I do think in the end, Georgia wins. I don't think it's a bigger deal. SEC is just better than the Big Ten. C.J. Stroud is going to have a good game, I think. But I think the Georgia defense is just going to be too much. They only allow 12.8 points per game. SEC defense has always been proven to be pretty dominant over other conferences. So I think that'll be the big difference maker there. But yeah, I do like Georgia in a close one.
Okay, so I'm gonna sit up here before I say this one. So Georgia's playing Ohio State. They're 6-point favorites in this game. Ohio State, I think everyone talks about them, and you think of the team that showed up against Michigan, right? And that they just got kind of blown out of the water. How much better, I'm asking you the question, do you think Georgia is than Michigan? Truthfully.
I'm going to say not too much better.
Really?
Yes.
I see a substantial difference between Georgia and Michigan.
Okay.
I think Georgia is going to put up at least 40 points probably against Ohio State. I'm not saying C.J. Stroud doesn't play a good game. Yeah. I think he's very talented. But this Georgia team, it seems like, even last year too, they get in and everyone's kind of, doubting them. Stetson Bennett this, Stetson Bennett that. And they find ways to win and just dominate teams. I'm not going to go on my little Georgia rant. I'll save that for later. But I do like Georgia in this game. I really do think I could really see a blowout. I think that Michigan TCU game is going to be a little bit closer. I'm kind of curious to see who you have in that game, considering you thought, this Georgia game is going to be closer than that one. So how are you feeling about, Michigan TCU?
Michigan TCU, I am feeling a Michigan blowout.
Really?
That's how I feel about that one. Yeah, Max Duggan can't win the game by himself.
That's very true.
I think he's obviously going to show up because he's shown that he's a freaking baller and he can, he was near collapsing in the Big 12 championship game, just trying to win that team for his guys. But I think the Michigan defense is going to win them that game as well. I think, they're allowing 191 pass yards a game, only 85 rushing yards. That's pretty impressive, and I think Jim Harbaugh finally gets to go play for a natty, and I think a Michigan-Georgia national championship is at least what I want, and I think we deserve. I think that would be the best game out of the bunch.
I really do think this Michigan-TCU game is going to be a little bit closer than people think, just because it's Michigan, and it seems that you look at last year, too. I think J.J. McCarthy is way better than Cade McNamara. Look at, the team that made the college football playoff last year. But this TCU team, it seems like they've just find a way to hang around in games. Even some of the games that they almost lost, you look back when they played Baylor where they were kind of down early and then found a way to come back. Even against Kansas State, I mean, they didn't win that game, but they find a way to keep it close and then give themselves a chance to win at the end. I kind of see that happening in this Michigan TCU game. I think Michigan's gonna win, but I could see where it could get out of hand quickly just because of how good Michigan is at running the football, and also too when you got a guy like JJ McCarthy, who's probably the best quarterback that Harbaugh's had in his tenure at Michigan, with a team that runs the ball very well, a defense that is finally starting to play at the level they should have been playing the past couple of years. I mean, before they went to the college football playoff last year, Michigan was struggling on defense. They couldn't move the football either. I mean, they were not very good. People were talking about Harbaugh getting fired, and then last year's back-to-back college football playoff burst.
Yep.
Harbaugh has to win this game. He's got to make it to the college football championship game, and I see him getting it done. I like McCarthy. I like Michigan. But, hey, TCU's going to hang around a little bit.
What's the line on this game?
7.5?
7.5?
7.5?
I'll have to pull it up. Let me see. Yeah, 7.5. You're right.
If you give me 7.5, give me TCU with the points at that point.
Yeah.
7.5. You're giving them a touchdown? You don't. I just see them hanging around long enough.
I don't know. I don't know why we have such differing opinions. we're reversed, but yeah, I think Michigan rolls in this game, and I think the Ohio State-Georgia game is the closer of the two, and that's a 6.5 point spread. So, yeah, it's probably going to be a touchdown. I can't think of a score prediction off the top of my head, but I think those two are going to be. So, should we dive in? Let's say. So you're saying we're both agreeing Michigan. Georgia national championship.
Yes,
Should we dive into that now and then get to the New Year's Six Bowls?
I say let's get to the New Year's Six Bowls because we're going to get back to that Georgia thing. I didn't finish my, Georgia's, top of the town. And let's get to number 3. This one, we got to go back to some football. Moose Muhammad Wigman dropping back one-handed between two defenders. I mean, my goodness. I remember being there at the game. I mean, that was my last game as a student, watching that catch. Your jaw drops right there.
Yeah.
Seeing the one-handed grab like that, Muhammad really flashed that potential. But I think we talked about after that game, but how important that was for just the momentum to close out the season. You kill LSU's title, college football playoff chances right there. But they were the number 5 team in the country at that point. If they were able to beat A&M, then that SEC title game had huge implications. But it didn't happen. A&M played their best game of football in the last game of the year, and they're able to take down the Tigers. That without a doubt was definitely one of my favorite moments from the football season. I mean, it was not the season we expected, but that was definitely the highlight reel right there.
Yeah, and that's going into the offseason, obviously we're going to play a lot of what ifs, and
always.
And A&M in that game was really banged up still. A-Chain playing on a hobbled ankle. He missed a few games prior and then came back. So you ask yourself, man, what if we could have seen this with a fully healthy team at the beginning of the year, man? And you add a touchdown here or there during the regular season, and you're looking at a completely different team. But going back to that play, we talk about the catch. What about the throw? You gotta add that in there. Wigman put it in the perfect place. If he would have thrown it a yard too far, picked. Yard too short, picked. So it's on all phases, just a crazy play. Definitely, probably, in my opinion, and I guess in our list's opinion, this is the only football play, the best play of the season. So we'll go ahead and get into number 2, and it's just A&M basketball, their SEC tournament run, taking down number 1 Auburn, and then getting all the way to the championship game, and then in the NIT, that Auburn victory and playing in the SEC championship game kind of set them up. They were just scorching red hot, hottest team in the country. Still kind of a travesty that they didn't get into the NCAA tournament, because I think they could have made a little bit of noise. But man, that game was fun to watch, and that entire NIT tournament run was fun to watch as well.
And you talk about Q Jackson. I mean, if you're able to watch what's behind us right here, I mean, getting the dunks that he had, the blocks, I mean, everything that he did for that A&M team and the SEC tournament run and the NIT run, I mean, that was the true definition of it. I know I say it all the time, but put the team on your back and, hey, let's go win this thing. They came up short in the NIT, but like you said, I think this was a team that would have made some noise in the NCAA tournament. They had their opportunities. I still think they, obviously should have gotten in. But, watching this right here, gets me excited about kind of what we're talking about at the top of the hour, the 8 o'clock hours, saying, hey, this basketball team, they're going to figure it out eventually. This gets me fired up at the potential of what this current team can do. But Quinn Jackson as well, playing really good in the G League. I've seen the stats there.
Where's he playing now?
He's with I forget the team, but it's the Washington, the Wizards.
Okay, so he's in their system or whatever.
And he's playing really good. I think a couple days ago he dropped like 22 or 23 points.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And so let's get over to number one. I think without a doubt, this one has got to be at the top of the list. A&M baseball College World Series run kind of capped off by beating Texas in that elimination game. And everyone from you go to the national media, they go, well, A&M beat them back in that meaningless game in Austin, whatever. It was their World Series. All right, well, let's play on a bigger stage. And what did A&M do? They doubled down. They said, we are the better team here in Texas. And you tip your cap to that team, doing in their first year under new head coach Jim Schlossnagle. And I'm excited to see what this team.
Send them packing.
Oh yeah,
send them packing.
And this team I think is just going to get better. This year. I mean, the crazy part about A&M last year. I mean, look at like February when they lost to, I think it was like Penn. Or something like that.
Wasn't the best start. They lost a series to a team they shouldn't have, and people were like, well, rebuilding, it's okay. Schloss in year one,
right?
And then they kept winning, and then they kept winning, and then they beat Texas, and then they I think LSU was their first SEC series, and they won that, and it just kept going on, and they found themselves in the College World Series, and they won a couple games and looked good, and man, I'm with you. I'm excited. Maybe we'll dive into a little bit of Aggie baseball if we have the time a little later, but I'm excited about the 2023 season starting in February. They're going to be fun to watch. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. So since the last time you were on the show, the Ags are 2-2 with losses to Memphis and Wofford and wins against Oregon State and NSU. From your perspective, what have you seen them get better at? Is there anything that they've gotten worse at? Just in your opinion, what have you seen?
Yeah, I think I always start with the macro, right? And so losing that game at Memphis was tough because that's a high quality, they're borderline top 25 team. And so that would have been a quad one win, right? And they played well. And I was very pleased. Like I told Nuno, I grew up in Memphis, grew up playing for Penny. There was a lot of familiarity there for me. And I was a little worried about just their sheer athleticism and aggressiveness. And I felt like we matched it and honestly exceeded them in a lot of regards. What's disappointing for me, and like I said, I always try to keep it straight with y'all, is, the Boise State loss. And then now we follow that up with a Wofford loss. Sure, you take care of business against Oregon State, but where are they going to finish in the Pac-12, SMU, I actually think is a pretty solid win, even though they're a first-year head coach. And so, I think it's the seesaw, right? And I think if I were to cut through all the clutter, what I see is a lot of inconsistency. And that's a little concerning for me prior to conference play, because you'd like to see by this time, all right, we know what we're getting from Marble or Henry or, Boots. And so some of that lack of consistency, I think, is what's leading to this, is you don't know who's going to provide the scoring punch night to night, who you can trust night to night. And so I think we've seen that play out. You can lose to anybody, but you can also play with the best of them. And so they definitely have some fine tuning to do before conference play.
Yep. How you doing, Mark? Tomas, Romo. I think this is the first time we're going to sit here and meet each other. But I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on where do you see, which player more specifically do you see kind of being the guy and taking over? You mentioned the inconsistency. Me and Nick talked about it when we were talking basketball, but it seems like, every night there's a different player that kind of has to step up and make something happen. Who do you think is really going to be the guy once we flip over to that new year and we start SEC play?
I think it has to continue to be Wade Taylor. But I think for me, that's almost like a given now. Like Wade's averaging 15, 4, and 2. I kind of know what I'm getting from Wade. It's the people behind him, right? It's Boots. How can you have 20 plus points the other night and then, a couple games prior, I just feel like I don't feel your presence, coming out of into the new year, you really hope it's Coleman and Marble, because we know how physical SEC play can be. I think it's paramount that Henry build on, I think he had 24 the other night, right? And so he has to build on that. This is one of the things I talked about heading into some of these games against, the Woffords, the Northwestern States, who we got tonight, Prairie View. You want to see some of your best players go for 20 plus.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? Some people say, oh, it's just a numbers grab. No, it's a confidence builder so that when these kids go into conference play, they have one of those games under their belt, because they're going to have to tap into that. Teams are going to scout Wade. They're going to scout, Boots, Marble, Coleman, all these guys. And they're all going to have to be able to, on any given night, maybe go get in that 15 to 20 range if we want to compete at the highest level. And so I thought that was really nice to see Henry be aggressive from the jump. I thought he had a really good first half, and that assertiveness is something that, frankly, I've been a little disappointed with. The way he closed down the season last year was so impressive. And I just want to see him come out every game where it's like, I'm the baddest dude on the floor. Like,
Yep.
I don't care who I'm playing against. You can't hang with me. And I'm going to go right through your chin. And I may not be the tallest. Can't jump the highest, but I am one of the strongest. And just put it right through their chin and go score at the rim and dominate on the glass. And so I hope it's Coleman and Marble, because I feel like I know what I'm getting from Wade. The swing guys in this equation are obviously Boots, and then, in my opinion, Manny, who only played 3 minutes the other night. So we'll see what that's all about.
Right on. Well, the Ags seem to struggle at the start of these games, or not all of them, but some of them. It's kind of a reoccurring problem. How do you fix that? What's step one to kind of correcting that, to coming out of the gate, strong and starting fast?
A lot of it is you hope you have, strong veteran leadership, which on the surface we do, right? Between, Marble, been at Michigan State, Dennis, been a fifth-year senior from Wichita State. You got Wade, who has a lot of minutes. Henry's been, played a lot of minutes, formerly at Duke. He's a junior now. Like, there's a lot of older guys, and I've always had this opinion that so much of college basketball is just about having an older group.
Yeah.
That's been through some wars together, and you can survive so much if you just have an older group. That being said, we do have a tendency to come out slow. Like I said, no need to sugarcoat things. We have to be able to jump out onto teams, especially if we're not going to, be able to tap into those scoring ranges, 80 plus, 85 plus, like some of these teams like, Alabama or, LSU, probably Kentucky will come around. Tennessee's had some explosions. If you want to play with the top half of the SEC, you either one have to get off to a great start and be able to control pace for the entirety of the game, or at least a large portion of it, or you got to come out and be able to score 80 plus. And right now we haven't proven that we can score 80 plus on a consistent basis against the top end teams. So we're going to have to come out strong in the first two media timeouts where we're up, kind of 4, 6, 8, 10 points, and kind of take it from there and micromanage the game.
What's going on? They're just letting the youngins run the place now? Is this what's happening?
Who would have thought?
Yeah, we got a text earlier that said the Edward and Austin said the inmates have taken over the prison, so he's not wrong there. But
I do agree with that statement. The D team, as you called it earlier,
D-team,
right?
Yeah. Is that a fair? I feel like that's pretty.
Yeah, you could
accurate.
mix up Richard, put him in the BC slot if you really wanted to. But
why can't we just say like we're the young A team?
I wouldn't say we're the A team.
Yeah.
Well, would have the young, or maybe
Is
the young
Richard
B
not
team.
young?
Actually, no.
Is
it's really
Dalton
bad.
not
Yeah.
young?
So no, we're gonna switch it up.
Are you calling David old?
the college just graduated.
college /
team.
just grad. If that's the case, and Dalton and Richard in that, then we're the B team. That's
Okay.
what I'm gonna take. I'll take the young
little
B
upgrade.
team. Anyway, Kay, what's happening around Aggieland?
What's going on? So first of all, as we all know, basketball season is continuing, and for women's basketball, a shorthanded women's basketball team dropped its SEC opener with Thursday's 67-34 loss to number 1 and the reigning national champion South Carolina inside Colonial Life Arena. Texas A&M will now open its home portion of the SEC slate on Sunday when the Aggies take on Florida in a 1 p.m. game inside Reed Arena, so make sure to catch that. And then all I have for you is men's basketball. We'll close out 2022 with a 6 p.m. matchup with Prairie View A&M tonight, December 30th at Reed Arena. The Aggies are coming off a win from Northwestern State, so hopefully they continue this positive momentum into the new year and in the SEC play. So,
all right, Tomas, last rewind of 2022. What do we have to do?
You know what? Since I've been here, David Nuno, since the first day, like, comment, share, subscribe, share it. Send it all your friends, Twitter, Instagram. Make it happen.
Book it.
Book it.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.